like Scott a lot. Tech entrepreneur, used to come on my show on Fox all the time. And he's fighting the good fight there over on MSNBC. You couldn't pay me to go on that network. I wouldn't go on there for millions of dollars. Like, it's just kind of a really sad place. But good for Scott for going on there and speaking his mind. You need to hear this.
And I do think there is a double standard. I walked by NYU last night. What I saw was peaceful protests. But I can tell you, if I went into the NYU square with a white hood on and said, lynch the blacks or burn the gays, my ID would be shut off by that night. And I would never work in academia again. There would be no need for the words context or nuance. I wouldn't be protected by terms like First Amendment or free speech. I would be out of the world of academia. It seems like we have a double standard when it comes to hate speech as long as it's against Jews.
And we're not just talking about the exercising of free speech and protest, which we agree people have, and there's spaces on campus for that. It's what they're saying. It's the harassment of Jewish students. So what is that? Why is there that double standard? Because, of course, you're right. You don't even have to say it out loud. If these things were being said about black people or gay people or Latinos or Asian or anybody else, forget it. Shut down the school. Everybody's expelled. Why is there still that double standard?
I think it's complicated. I think, one, young people have a healthy gag reflex on what people our age think. And I think that's healthy. Two, I don't think Israel has draped itself in glory over the last 20 or 30 years. They've shifted from being kind of the David to the Goliath. I also think that incorrectly students on campus conflate the civil rights movement with what is going on in Palestine and have digressed, unfortunately, because of an orthodoxy promoted by me and my colleagues that there are oppressors and oppressed. And the easiest way to identify oppressors is how white and how rich they are, or fairly or unfairly. Israel is seen as ground zero for whiteness and how wealthy they are. And then what might sound paranoid doesn't mean I'm wrong. I think we are being manipulated, specifically youth, who their frame for the world is TikTok. And if you look at TikTok, there are 52 videos that are pro-Hamas or pro-Palestinian for every one served on Israel. I think that we are being manipulated. I think Americans are easier to fool than convinced they've been fooled. But if I were the CCP, I'd be doing exactly the same thing. I think social media is sowing division and polarization in our society.
I mean, it's exactly what's going on. It's called propaganda. And look, we do it too. We've done it before. We'll do it again. It's just that the Chinese happen to be a little bit better at it, right? Because they got TikTok. Maybe not for long. Maybe not for long. More on that in a second. But I want to go back to what's going on in America and why it is that politicians that previously have stood up for Israel are no longer willing to do so. Donald Trump talked about this yesterday. Drew, if you still have that, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but if you have that video of Trump, the short clip yesterday where he explained how Biden just doesn't know which way the wind is blowing and doesn't know how to deal with this because he's not a natural leader and he's got to take a stand. We can play that. But in the meantime, I want to point out this. You saw AOC, who was previously very pro-Israel, coming out now for the students and for the pro-Palestinian protesters. Because, you know, chaos. Hey, they love chaos. You know, that Marxism stuff kicking in. And then you've got none other than...
What's going on is a disgrace.
Oh, here we go. Here's the president. I think Drew does have it. Here he is. He makes a very good point here. Okay, maybe not. We'll go back to that.
What's going on is a disgrace. Now, it's interesting outside for great Americans, people that want to come down and they want to protest at the court and they want to protest peacefully. We have more police presence here than anyone's ever seen. For blocks, you can't get near this courthouse. And yet you have nobody up at a college where you have very radical people wanting to rip the colleges down, the universities down. And that's a shame. But it all starts with Joe Biden. The signals he puts out are so bad. And I can tell you, he's no friend of Israel, that's for sure.
I mean, look, if you were a friend of Israel, he would say, oh, you know, we got the money through. But if you were a friend of Israel, he would have found a way to temper this way back when. But he can't. You see, the train has left the station. So now he doesn't know what to do, right? Because young people don't like him anyway. And he hasn't been able to come through on all those student loans, no matter how much he tries to defy the Supreme Court. So now you see all these protests going on. There's a lack of enthusiasm for Biden. And all of these politicians are, it's very scary. They're getting this message.